What gear do you need for a 4-person podcast? That is what this video is all about.
Be seen, heard, and better understood through virtual gatherings. Elevate your message with Corporate Streams.
Hey everybody, I'm Noah, the founder of Corporate Streams. Our aim is to minimize distractions and maximize impact through modern communication tools. In this video, let's find out how you can get your 4-person podcast up and running with 3 easy to follow budgets. Well, before we start, you can find this resource available on our website, corporatestreams.com, free of charge. The link is in the description. All right, so to kick things off, the leftmost column of this chart is the category of gear, and each column moving to the right is the budget that's tied to it. Everything is color coordinated for visual clarity. All right, so starting on the left side here, we have the department. So internet, audio, lighting, camera, other, and notes. Of course, there's totals at the bottom if you want to check those out. And then we have good, better, and best. Now, depending on your podcast, you may not need internet, right? So if you're only recording and you're not going live, you can go ahead and skip that internet section. I will mention that this is also in priority order. So internet, audio, lighting, camera. You should probably choose your things in that order. I know a lot of people like to focus on the camera and they think that that's the most important thing, but obviously with podcasts, it's all about the audio and we want to have high quality audio as well. The reason why internet is at the top, because if you're live streaming and your connection sucks, you're not going to have a very good recording, you're not going to have a very good session, and things are just going to drop out. So we start with internet and we work our way down. So the note here is that you should always use wired connections for the best results. Wi-Fi is very convenient. A lot of people use Wi-Fi, but really it's not the best practice. You should plug in your computer to your router via an Ethernet cable, and that's going to give you the most reliable connection for live streaming. I've linked in this document a 25-foot Ethernet cable. Depending on the distance between you and your router, you might need a shorter one or a longer one, so you'll have to figure that one out for yourself. If you're using a modern laptop, sometimes they don't have Ethernet ports built into the device itself, and you'll have to buy an adapter like this USB-C adapter, so I linked that as well. All right, moving to audio. We have 3 tiers of good, better, best. There's 2 parts of audio. You have the microphone and the recorder that you'll have. For your good, you have the microphone of a ZDM1 and a PodTrack P4 recorder. So that's a pretty good deal to have 4 microphones and a recorder for only $425. Your better category, we move up to the 512s and a Mackie recorder. This also is a pack. And then the top level is your SM7B with a Rodecaster. The question you're going to ultimately have is, what's the difference between the lowest one and the highest one and something in between? Well, frankly, the money you spend on technology can pay off in more than one way. Yes, there's going to be a quality difference between the lowest level and the highest level. Not everybody's going to be able to hear that quality difference unless they've got high quality headphones. What you're really probably going to notice is the build quality between a cheaper microphone and a more expensive microphone. The cheaper ones aren't going to last as long. They're made out of plastic, and the components in them are not really designed to last as long. Now, can you get away with a cheaper mic? Absolutely. But what you can't get around is physics. So you can see that the microphone here is pretty close to my mouth. It's about a fist or maybe 3 inches from my mouth. And those physics will supersede the quality of the mic. So even if you had a $3,000 mic, a $50,000 mic, whatever you want to call it, and you have that at 15 feet away, it's not going to sound as good as a $10 mic a few inches from the source. That's why you'll see on most major podcasts that they have the microphone very close to their mouth because there's physics involved. And it's basically exponentially worse the further away you get the mic from the source. So that's my big tip that you should keep in mind about audio quality. Moving to lighting, if you're doing video with lighting, like I said earlier, a lot of people focus on the camera, but it's actually just as, if not more important, to focus on good lighting. So we have good, better, best as well, and you can see those links broken out there. Now, depending on your setup, you'll probably be mounting these on a desk, so you can look at the different hardware for a desk mount if you need that. A few basics about lighting: you usually have a key, a fill, and a backlight. For 4 people, it's going to be kind of tough to backlight each individual person. So if you just have a key light or your main light and a fill light, which fills in your shadows, you can get away with that. Now, cheaper LEDs will not look as good on camera, but I picked out some decent ones that you might use. And then if you're like me and you like RGB background lighting, right, something with a little bit of color, then you'll want to pick those out as well. All right, now that we talked about lighting, let's move on to everybody's favorite, the camera. Starting simple, we have the Insta360 Link. This is a great portable, affordable camera for the good category. Moving up to better and best, we're using Blackmagic cameras. We have the Pocket 4K. And for your better category, I've actually added a second camera, so you will have 2 of these in your mix. A 16mm lens, which allows you to get a wider shot. And then we have a 56mm, which gives you the tighter. Another thing you might consider is live streaming your 4-person podcast. So I've included an ATEM Pro ISO. So what is this? Well, it's a device that helps you switch between cameras. That way you can live cut and live stream between the wide and the tight. Now, I will say with a close-up camera, right, that second camera, you probably need somebody, an assistant, to help move that camera to the person that's talking, but you can always cut back to that wide shot as needed. And then of course, with the best setup, I went ahead and put 5 cameras. Now that's kind of interesting if you have 4 guests and 5 cameras, but what does that mean? Well, it means that each individual person has their own close-up and we still have that wide shot to capture everybody talking. That way you can cut to the person as needed, and that's something that you can easily do. So that means you're going to be buying 4 of the 50mm lenses and 1 20mm lens if you would like to have that best setup. We also have the ATEM Extreme ISO. This one will give you an extra output. So if you want to show your image on TVs or other displays for an in-person audience, you can do that as well. In the other category, we have a few options here. The first are cable ties. So this will help keep your cables organized and neat. It's definitely a must for me, and I definitely encourage you to have those as well. We also have an Amazon Echo. Now with the Echo, you can also buy some smart switches, and then you could put your lighting and different gear on those smart switches to turn them on and off. Of course, there are a few things that won't work with smart switches that you'll just have to manually press record or turn on and off. Now, you can also record with your ATEMs. So I set up links for a 1TB SSD and some extra HDMI cables to connect all those cameras to that ATEM. The main thing to note is that in the good category, this is all around a single camera. It will meet minimum requirements, but honestly, when you have 4 people, it's best to cut and show each person's face because human communication is largely body language. So somebody's reactions and smiles and facial expressions help show what their emotions are or how they really feel about a certain topic or subject. Even though I do have the good category listed, if you have the resources and you're able to, it's usually better to have multiple cameras to cut between. The better setup does have 2 cameras, which allows you to have a wide shot and a tight shot. Remember that you'll need an assistant to help manage that camera and point at the right person at the right time. And then of course, our best setup has 5 cameras, which will let you cut to a wide shot and then 4 close-ups of each individual person. All right, the number everybody's been waiting for. What does this cost? What is this going to cost me? The good setup is around $1,000. The better setup is around $6,000. And the best setup, I know, a little pricey, but is $18,000. Now, this is an investment in what you're doing. And I wouldn't say jump in right away and spend $18,000 on your equipment. I would encourage you to start with some of the lower packages and build your way up, build your audience. And then over time, you can upgrade your kit to the next one up. A lot of time and effort goes into making these videos. So when you like, comment, and subscribe, it tells us to keep making them. And that's the list. I hope you find it useful. If you have any further questions, you can find out more information and a Q&A on our blog at corporatestreams.com. Check out our live stream basics playlist if you'd like to learn more about live streaming. I've got a wealth of knowledge about live streaming that I'd like to share with the world, and my dream is to reach 1 million people. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next video.